Chapter 15. An orb that was 160 kilometers in diameter, the Death Star was the size of a Class 4 moon and was the largest starship ever built. Its quadinium steel outer hull had two prominent features: a concave superlaser focus lens set into the upper hemisphere, and an equatorial trench that contained ion engines, hyperdrives, and hangar bays. Besides its superlaser, which was not yet fully operational, the Death Star's weaponry included more than 10,000 turbolaser batteries, 2,500 laser cannons, and 2,500 ion cannons. Its hangars contained 7,000 twin ion engine starfighters and more than 20,000 military and transport vessels. The battle station's crew, troops, and pilots numbered over 1 million. The Death Star did not in any way impress Darth Vader. After returning from the Tatooine system with Princess Leia as his prisoner, Vader and the hollow-cheeked Grand Moff Tarkin entered a Death Star conference room where a meeting was already in progress. Admiral Mahdi, the senior Imperial commander in charge of operations on the Death Star, General Tag of the Imperial Army, and 5 other high-ranking Imperial officials sat around a table and listened as Tarkin announced that the Emperor had dissolved the Imperial Senate and assured them that fear the Death Star would keep the local star systems in line. When General Tag maintained concern that the Rebel Alliance might use the stolen Death Star plans to their advantage, Admiral Mahdi snidely asserted that any attack against the Death Star would be a useless gesture. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe, Mahdi said. I suggest we use it. Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed, Vader cautioned. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. Sneering at the Sith Lord, Mahdi said, "Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fort." Mahdi stopped speaking and reached to his throat as Vader made a pinching movement with his own gloved hand from across the meeting room. "I find your lack of faith disturbing," Vader said. "Enough of this," Tarkin snapped. "Vader, release him." Although Vader answered only to the Emperor, it was the Emperor's command that he served Tarkin on the Death Star. "As you wish," Vader said as he lowered his hand, releasing his telekinetic grip on Mahdi's throat. Gasping for air, Mahdi slumped forward onto the table. Tarkin said, "This bickering is pointless. Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time the station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke." After the meeting, Vader was informed that he had an incoming message from the Tatooine system. He had already been notified that the Commander Prodigy's Stormtrooper squad had learned that the Tantive Force missing escape pod had carried 2 droids to Tatooine's surface, and that the droids had been picked up by a Jawa sandcrawler. Vader walked over to a communications console where a holoprojector flickered to life and projected an image of 2 fully armed Imperial sandtroopers standing beside a middle-aged man and woman who wore robes and were kneeling on the ground. Near the 4 figures, there was a partial view of a structure which Vader recognized as an entry dome for a desert dwelling. Addressing the sandtrooper squad leader, Vader said, "Report via closed circuit." "Lord Vader," said one of the sandtroopers, adjusting a control on his helmet so that only Vader could hear his voice. "The Jawas sold a protocol droid and an astromech to these moisture farmers, but both droids are gone." "Moisture farmers?" Intrigued, Vader examined the holograms on the kneeling couple and said, "The farmers' names?" Owen and Baru Lar, sir, the sand trooper responded. They say they don't know where the droids are, but it looks like a land speeder is missing from their garage. Owen and Baru, Vader recalled. The resolution of their holograms was clear enough that he could make out their worn, weathered features. Neither of them appeared to be comfortable having blaster rifles aimed at their backs. Remembering how they looked on the day Anakin Skywalker had met them, Vader thought, the years have not been kind. It's time for them to pay for their repeated weaknesses. Your orders, sir, said the sand trooper. Tell Mr. and Mrs. Lars that they seem to have trouble keeping protocol droids on their property. Not certain if he had heard correctly, the sand trooper said, Sir, then you may extend to them every courtesy that you show the Jawas before you continue your search. Establish checkpoints to detain any droids entering Mos Espa or Mos Eisley spaceports. And one more thing. Yes, sir? Do not stop transmitting until I break the connection. Understood, said the sand trooper. Vader watched the sand troopers carry out his orders on their helpless victims. He found the sight of rising flames, even holograms of flames burning millions of light years away, to be most satisfying. When the Lars family homestead had been transformed into an inferno, Vader deactivated the holoprojector. He proceeded to the nearest lift tube and was quickly transported to sub-level 5 of detention area AA-23, which was reserved for political prisoners. Time to talk with the princess. The door to detention cell 2187 slid up into the ceiling, and Darth Vader ducked through the doorway, followed by 2 black uniformed Imperial soldiers. Inside the cell, Princess Leia sat on a bare metal bed that projected from the wall. Looming over the prisoner, Vader said, And now, Your Highness, we will discuss the location of your hidden rebel base. There was an electric hum from behind Vader, then a spherical black interrogator droid hovered slowly into the cell. The droid's midsection was ringed by a repulsor lift system, and its exterior was festooned with devices that included an electroshock assembly, sonic torture device, chemical syringe, and lie determinator. Leia's eyes went wide at the sight of the droid, and Vader could practically taste her terror. She said, Keep it away from me! Vader seized his prisoner, pinning her arms to her sides while the interrogator droid moved in closer. There was a brief hiss from the droid's injector arm, then Leia cried out and fell backward, slumping against the cell wall with a thud. You can't, she said. Your Highness, Vader said in his most soothing tone, listen to my voice. Leia's eyes rolled in their sockets, unable to focus on anything. She stammered, Voice. That's right. Listen, I am your friend. Friend? Leia said, then winced. No. Yes, Vader insisted, watching her plunge deeper into a hypnotic state. You trust me. You can confide in me. All your secrets are safe with me. Leia licked her lips. Safe? That's right, safe. You are safe here. You're among friends. You can trust me. I am a member of the Rebel Alliance, like you. A look of relief swept over Leia's face as she muttered, Rebel? What did you do with the Death Star plans? Where are they? The rebels need to know. Help us, Leia. No, she moaned, closing her eyes. Can't. It's your duty, Vader urged. Your duty to our alliance. Your obligation to Alderaan and to your father. It's your duty to tell us where those tapes are. Father? Leia said, her eyes still shut. Yes, Vader said. Your father commands you to tell us. Father wouldn't. Growing impatient, Vader used his own psychic powers to make Leia believe she was in excruciating pain, but after several minutes, he ended the interrogation. He sensed that her inborn willpower was not only formidable, but must have been augmented with certain physical and mental disciplines. She would not be broken easily. Leaving the detention cell, he went to report to Grand Moff Tarkin in the Death Star control room. Vader said, Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It will be some time before we can extract any information from her. Just then, Admiral Mahdi approached Tarkin and informed him that the Death Star was finally fully operational. Tarkin looked to Vader and said, "Perhaps you would respond to an alternative form of persuasion." "What do you mean?" asked Vader. "I think it's time we demonstrated the full power of this station," Tarkin said. Turning to Mahdi, he commanded, "Set your course for Alderaan." "With pleasure," Mahdi replied with an evil smile. Realizing what Tarkin intended, Vader surveyed the man with new respect. The Dark Lord had done many horrendous and unpardonable things, but it seemed that Tarkin, at least in this situation, was even more diabolically inventive. However, Vader had one concern with Tarkin's scheme. "Alderaan is one of the foremost of the inner systems," Vader said. "The Emperor should be consulted." "Do not think to challenge me," Tarkin snapped. "You are not confronting Tag or Mahdi now. The Emperor has placed me in charge of this affair with a free hand, and the decision is mine, and you will have your information that much sooner." Vader had long suspected that Grand Moff Tarkin was insane, but it was not until Tarkin had addressed him just then, without a trace of fear, that Vader was left without a doubt. Vader said, "If your plan serves our purpose, it will justify itself." "The stability of the Empire is at stake," Tarkin said. "A planet is a small price to pay." Released from her cell and brought to Grand Moff Tarkin in the Death Star control room, Princess Leia stood against Darth Vader's chest with her eyes fixed on a wide view screen that displayed the planet Alderaan. After Tarkin threatened to destroy her homeworld unless she revealed the location of the rebel base, she told them that the rebels were on Dantooine. However, Tarkin was determined to prove that the Empire was prepared to use the Death Star without the slightest provocation. There were billions of people on Alderaan, including Bail Organa, and they were about to die. As the battle station super laser powered up, Vader felt the princess quivering with fear. "You brought this upon yourself," he thought. The green beam super laser fired at Alderaan, blowing the entire world to oblivion.